We have more Commanders head coaching updates for you guys today as we have a lot more second interviews that have been confirmed. I'm going to be talking about all the coaches that have a confirmed second interview, and we're really going to focus in on two specific coaches that could be finalists for this head coaching position. But before we get into today's content, we have a little competition going with Cowboys fan producer Coop today because the Cowboys Report, his other channel, got 822 likes.
F the commies. F the commies.
As you guys can tell, Coop's got a pretty big mouth. He said there is no way the Commanders Report can get more likes than the Commanders Report or than the Cowboys Report. They got 822 likes on their last video. We need to beat them right now. Shut Coop's stupid face right now by clicking that thumbs up icon. And with that, let's get into today's show. So let's go over the updated head coaching search for the Washington Commanders. They've only interviewed 8 people to this point, and they have 5 confirmed second interviews. Now, Mike Macdonald and Anthony Weaver could still potentially get second interviews here, but we know for sure Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, the 2 coordinators there with the Detroit Lions, will be getting a second interview after their NFC Championship game this weekend against the San Francisco 49ers. They interviewed Bobby Slowik, the Houston Texans offensive coordinator, gave him his second interview yesterday. And they earlier this week, they gave second interviews to Raheem Morris, the Rams defensive coordinator, and Dan Quinn, the Cowboys defensive coordinator. So right now, the favorite is clearly Ben Johnson. You look at the betting markets, you look at all these different things in terms of the reporting out there. It seems like the Washington Commanders are pretty dead set on hiring Ben Johnson, and he's the number 1 guy on my list. We've talked about him on the show before. I think he's got the best offensive structure. I think he's probably the best overall coaching prospect out there on the open market right now. If the Commanders land him, they'll be extremely lucky. However, if he decides to go somewhere else, like let's say the Atlanta Falcons or something like that, I think a really good plan B for the Washington Commanders would be Houston Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowik. I think that Bobby has done a fantastic job, not only as a coordinator there in San Francisco under his friend Kyle Shanahan back in 2022, helping develop Brock Purdy there with the 49ers in his rookie season. But then he goes to the Houston Texans this year with yet again another rookie quarterback, and the offensive numbers just completely different than what this team's offensive numbers looked like last year, about middle of the pack. And I think if you look at these numbers just at face value, you might be saying, Jack, this is kind of an average offense other than the giveaways, which was number 1 in the National Football League this year. It's pretty average. But you look at where this team was last year on offense, and they were arguably the worst defense, or worst offense, I should say, in the National Football League last year. Then Slowik comes in with C.J. Stroud, and these numbers improve dramatically in every single category. And you look at C.J. Stroud's numbers this year, I mean, he arguably had the greatest season for a rookie quarterback in National Football League history this year. And then you look at last year with Brock Purdy, he did the same thing. Brock Purdy was absolutely lighting it up as a 7th-round rookie, and Bobby Slowik was responsible, or at least partly responsible, for both of these quarterbacks, really young QBs, really thriving and flourishing in the National Football League right from the word go in this league. So when you look at Bobby Slowik's profile, I really love his pedigree in terms of developing young quarterbacks and recently, okay? These last 2 quarterbacks, C.J. Stroud, Brock Purdy, both of them are bona fide starters in this league, and I would say top 15 QBs, and they're still very young, and I think they have Bobby Slowik to thank for a lot of that. Number 2, he has one of the best offensive structures in the National Football League. The Texans, let's just face it, man, they didn't have the best overall personnel this year. They had a rookie quarterback. They were limited at running back. They were limited at offensive line, and they made it work this year. And the reason why it ended up working out for Houston this year is because of that offensive structure. The foundations, the architecture of Bobby Slowik's offense is absolutely pristine, and it would be great to have that here with the Washington Commanders. So that offense of his, 3rd-generation West Coast, it's inspired by the Kyle Shanahan tree of that kind of coaching philosophy. So these are kind of the coaching staples of a Kyle Shanahan offense. Number 1, you're going to see mostly under center. They will throw in shotgun, especially on 3rd downs and obvious passing situations, but they like to keep their quarterbacks under center to keep defenses guessing in terms of the run game and the pass game as well. They like to put 2 running backs on the field, usually a running back and a fullback. You see that with teams like the 49ers, with Kyle Juszczyk, with the Miami Dolphins, with Alex Ingold. And I think that if they could potentially get a good fullback here in Washington, Bobby Slowik would utilize that here in the nation's capital. They like to do a bunch of different stuff in the run game, like they do outside zone. That's what they kind of base out of, but they'll run pin and pull. They'll run power. They'll run trap, and they'll do a lot of really creative things in the run game. As opposed to just a traditional outside zone run scheme like a Sean McVay offense, for example. Love to do a lot of play action from under center, lots of misdirection, likes to have very athletic tight ends in this offense, and they love to attack the middle of the field, get their wide receivers out in open space so that they can run in the open field. So coming up here, I'm going to shift to another head coaching candidate for the Washington Commanders, and who Bleacher Report thinks the Commanders are actually going to hire when this whole process is said and done. But before I reveal who that coaching candidate is, go ahead, check out our friends at Fanatics right now. If you're looking for a pair of awesome, stylish, and affordable Commanders t-shirts, I think the offseason is really the best time to get new gear for your favorite team in the National Football League because of all the great deals that are going on. You can get a great deal right now. Go to chatsports.com/CommandersX2 to get your hands on this awesome t-shirt combo, short sleeve burgundy with that awesome design, and then also that long sleeve white Commanders shirt right there. Perfect for any time of the month. You can wear that white long sleeve even during the summer. Absolutely fantastic stuff right there. So if you're looking for a couple more Commanders shirts to fill out your wardrobe, go to chatsports.com/CommandersX2 to get this awesome t-shirt combo in your closet today. All right, so Bleacher Report says that Mike Macdonald, the Ravens defensive coordinator, should be the favorite to be the Washington Commanders' next head coach. And this is what their writer here, Maurice Moten, had to say about this potential hire. Mike Macdonald has talked to 5 out of the 6 teams with a vacancy, but he has a connection with Commanders Senior Vice President of Football Strategy, Eugene Shen, who rose through the ranks within the Baltimore Ravens front office before he came over to Washington. Last October, the Commanders hired Shen to lead their analytics department. Now they may poach Ravens assistants and coaches to work under new general manager Adam Peters. Macdonald could be one of them. So listen, I think that if the Washington Commanders end up going defense, I don't think they can get anybody better than Mike Macdonald. He's young. He's got a very innovative scheme coming up. And although I'd probably rather go offense and a guy like Ben Johnson or Bobby Slowik as my plan B, if Washington is dead set on going on the defensive side of the ball, I think Mike Macdonald is probably the best option at their disposal. So when you talk about Macdonald's defense, all right, I really love this structure. Number 1 defense in the National Football League this year, the Baltimore Ravens had, and it's because they do a lot of really great stuff. What Macdonald has done here is he has collected all of the great stuff that you see from all the schemes in the National Football League that have success and compiled it into one kind of super scary defense. They do a bunch of man coverage, and if you know anything about man coverage, if you can get away with doing man coverage in the National Football League, you do it, and this Baltimore Ravens team can absolutely do that. They love to send simulated pressure, so they'll show a bunch of guys at the line of scrimmage. They'll go out of it, and they'll just send 4, but they get 3 rushers all the time on just 4 rushers. They do a lot of cover 0 stuff on 3rd down. They like to have versatile defensive backs like Kyle Hamilton there in Baltimore, guys that can play in the box, can play free safety, can move down into the slot, and they like to move around their defensive backs to really confuse opposing quarterbacks, especially on 3rd down. And probably what the number 1 thing that the Baltimore Ravens do better than anybody else in football is disguise their coverages pre-snap to confuse the quarterbacks that they're playing against. It's really a thing of beauty watching this defense on tape, and if he can bring that here to Washington, this defense is going to be turning it around super quickly. So if you had the choice between Bobby Slowik or Mike Macdonald, 2 super young, up-and-coming head coaching candidates in this league, who are you taking? Let's say Ben Johnson takes the job in Atlanta, and you have the choice here between Bobby Slowik or Mike Macdonald. Give me a BS for Bobby Slowik or MM for Mike Macdonald. For me, because I want to go get an offensive guy with a history of developing young quarterback talent, for me, I'm going to go Bobby Slowik over Mike Macdonald. That'll be it for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for all of your support. Make sure you click that subscribe button for more Commanders news and rumors coverage all throughout the 2024 offseason.